Welcome, everybody. My name is Terminus, and today we are going to watch Made in Abyss, Season 2, Episode 5. You might notice it's the same day. I do have the same Dr. P, and hashtag not sponsored. My tea is empty at this point. I'm gonna get some new one once we get into the reaction. But yeah, I couldn't wait. I just need to relax a little bit, and this is perfect for me to just relax, to just record it. Now, obviously, the editing is gonna take time, as I said last time, but we're just gonna roll with the punches here. Actually, I didn't know what to talk about in terms of like last episode. We just looked up last episode. We just talked about it in a 25 minutes span, which in my opinion is more than enough for that, to kind of cover the thematics we have at the moment that we have going on. So I had an idea. Let's talk about the art, shall we? I mean, I'm not as good at that as I am with the psychological themes. We also just still build in some psychological themes. Don't you worry about that, my friends. I really love the design of the automaton, but I do also love the amazing shots that we see here, right? The framed shots, the mix of how it works, right? Golden ratio, nine squares kind of thing. We do have one of the subjects in the foreground here taking up these two, and one of the subjects taking up a thing further, right? How is the density of objects, and they make really good use of that. Try it on any shot that you really like in an anime or in an actual movie or in photography. Try to lay over either the 9 squares, which you can look them up, photography 9 squares. I don't know if they're called 9 squares, but you're gonna find something based on that. Or the golden ratio, right? The thing that goes like this over a certain picture or image. And look what you can spot within those points, right? Within those points of concentration when the golden ratio goes all small within that circle, or when the line becomes really wide. What kind of is it background that's in there? Is it more of an open kind of shot, right? And you can kind of figure out a little bit, not completely. It doesn't explain it completely, and there's a lot of different theories that don't necessarily disagree with one another, but that definitely some of them complement one another, and others kind of are trying to go for the opposite. That kind of explain to you a little bit why you visually like something, and you kind of can reverse, right? Kind of just break it apart and reverse engineer that when you create some piece of media, and if you adhere to some of that in specific parts of that, you can make a very big impression on the overall audience in terms of what they like about your art and your style. We do see Fapta is very, very bestial in this form here, right? When we see her far off, she doesn't look very human. She looks also very intimidating, especially together with our big piece of metal destruction here. But I find it very cool and very impressive how she just suddenly disappears, right? We do have that little wavy line of her disappearing. Give me just a second. Yeah, sorry, I just had to remind myself how to actually use this new player that I'm using. But yeah, here we have the frame by frame, right? It becomes very wavy with undefined lines, right? To kind of symbolize this fast movement that's almost not visible to the eye. And we have that a great design of like the momentum shift, where we shortly the momentum changes in the other direction, and we have a very still image in a way, and then we shoot up like a cannonball and whisk away in the wind. We have that short little flap down words that's actually not really displaying a momentum shift anymore. So the momentum shift was faster than we could even perceive. And then we come to Reg and him being like, hey, wait, where the fuck did you go? And we have that cool effect, right? We burst from the ground, and to symbolize that, we have the camera rumble, and Fapta kind of spreads her wings in a way, right? Or her fur or whatever it is, and you see the gravel flying up to reinforce that effect. And I love that in like kind of time freeze shots, right? Slow motion shots where you have pieces of gravel and materials that got burst into the air, flying and kind of being in suspension for a second or two to capture this moment. And we have this bestial face here with the forearms and the claws, and it looks very cool and very impressive, but also very aggressive, and it goes right into your face. We're Reg point of view at this point, of course. Impact shot with the sparks on the metal, and then we halt. And we actually look, and we see the person we see is a lot more human than we thought she is. And she looks at you with a lot of concern, with a lot of like worry, looking at the stump of Reg and being like, like really angry. Who did that to you? And Reg notices she's awfully well defined, like Nanachi. So what does that cause? Because we have realized in a way that a lot of these creatures that have been changed and lost their humanity are not all that defined, right? There's a lot of fuzziness to them, a lot of non-humanness. But Nanachi and here Fapta are very human. And I do wonder if that has something to do with personality, mentality, right? That you can kind of retain a part of your human self through the transformation. But also, Fapta kept all of her senses, all of her sanity. And she wasn't with Bondrewd, so how did it happen? It's very interesting. I mean, obviously Kaja also kept intelligence. So there's an argument to be made that there's ways they transformed that kept up their mental capabilities. Wonder how that went for. Once again, I have to look something up. Vueko. Or I wouldn't say Veko. I wouldn't say Vueko. I'll have to hear it until then. I'm kind of just changing things. We do see Fapta earlier in life being very, very clingy to Vueko. So I wonder what happened between them. I said that before. She seemed a lot like a very much a motherly person to Fapta, or a sister, big sister kind of vibe. And it makes sense because they both made traumatic experiences in their past, and supposedly they probably bonded, found a connection between each other. Belaf looking at them with a lot of warmth in his gaze. So, I mean, we saw that from the first moment we met Belaf, that he has a very positive outlook on things, and that he sees beauty in Vueko, especially her eyes and possibly her longing, her treasure, or whatever. But very interesting that Fapta is actually very shy. And I don't know. I mean, she doesn't. We have a couple of hints, right? She doesn't show herself a lot. She suddenly notices and looks back and sees it's like she doesn't like many eyes on them. Obviously, she might want some privacy between her and Reg, who know each other. But there's also this element of she doesn't like being with a lot of people. And we see that here already, right before her transformation, before everything. We see she's very clingy to Vueko, who is the person she bound to, basically, the person she connected to the most. she's very anxious, right? Looking around and looking for protection here. And that makes sense with her history, if you think about it, that she got outcast and isolated and banished from her village and maybe even abused, right? We don't know that. We just know that she got outcast for being infertile, apparently. But how did they find that out? How was that determined? I mean, obviously it could be a thing of like the gods told it to us. That would be the PG-13 the good traumatic past, but there's a lot worse things that could have happened, and we don't know that. Maybe we will never know it, but obviously there's a lot we can already glean from that, even without any other bad experiences happening, social isolation and being banished, being outcast. Especially on an island where you can't just go to another community. That's got to be rough. And this is where she found her home, she found her family, and I do wonder how it was ripped apart eventually. We gotta see a little bit of their past here. Most definitely. And I'm really curious what that is, what kind of relic that is, and what role it's gonna play. Yeah, let me see. Maybe we can find some more art, some more cool, nice looking art. Interesting, Fapta is piling rocks. It's kind of like a Japanese / Buddhist Zen thing, as far as I know, kind of. Could also be piling rocks at the shores of hell, right? I know that one from Monogatari. That could be a thing, right? Piling rocks at the shore of hell, and the shore of hell is the 6th layer of the abyss, the capital of the unreturned. And as we go on, we go into the deeper layers of hell, right? The nine hells, if you want to go for your classical D&D hellscape, or I don't know how many layers there are. I didn't read Dante's Inferno. Maybe I have to actually do that. It's one of the classics, so alone for that, I would be interested to read a little bit of it. These shots are so amazing, right? Contrasts, asymmetry, light and shadow. It's very, very interesting how they're kind of separated in this way, right? Fapta having her back turned, Rek being a little bit in the dark, Fapta being a little bit in the dark. Could see it as a metaphoric thing, right? Rek being in the dark because he doesn't know Fapta, and she knows him. So he's very anxious about all of that on very various levels. And Fapta not being in the dark about Rek because she doesn't know or didn't know he had no memories and what he's been up to and where he's been. And she had somewhat of an idea of it. No details. And they reconnect, they meet again, eye to eye. And obviously we do have the exploration of the body, which is always the thing with Rek. Why is it always Rek? Poor fucking Rek. Which is your haku? Your treasure, right? As Nanaji says it. Nothing you say makes any sense. And she's flabbergasted. Asks him the question. Again, the light beaming in on him. Such an interesting shot. He's in the middle of the shot, which is very unusual for shot taking in general. It's a little bit different in anime, but like the generic ones will do it a lot, but this is intentional. And we go back into the light from the shadow, and she's left in kind of half a shadow in the dark pit, kind of, and the shadows of the cave looming over her. He doesn't feel happy, most certainly. This kind of reminds me of like the cave thing, right? I don't know how it's called again. Aristotle with the... right? But not really, it's not thematic in this case. But it's a really good cool image, right? being in the darkness, but the light shining down on you. The world is outside, and in here is me and my domain. And that is, I don't know what that is, as I said. But it's a very cool, these shots. Look at these shots. The pillar in the foreground, the two ones with the unnecessary, right? Unnecessary, but definitely great that they added that. The details. The detailed environments, the layers. Right? The pillars, the ground, the smoke, the light rays. This place is so deep, right? But it's so lit up. What a contrast of themes. And 𝐿 is kind of in thought, right? About his identity. That is a really, really great shot too, right? The setting, the place looming over him. This weird upward angle, and it feels like the entire world is on his shoulders. And he's looking up. Again, a beautiful thing, like a tube. Like a maelstrom that gnaws at everything that tries to make its way down here. And still, it's so blinding up there. The light. Like we're in the promised land. Like we're in heaven. Far beyond death. If you want to take this a really, really crazy route, you could be like, okay, in the end, the twist is Rico, 𝐿𝐸, everybody who was part of the story, they were all dead. They died at some point, and this is heaven. A lot of people wouldn't like that, and I don't think this is how it's gonna end. But the potential for metaphors here is amazing. And I do love these beautiful, beautiful white petals falling down. Symbolizing this connection, right? What goes into the abyss doesn't come back, but whatever message you shout down, whatever person you send down, it's gonna arrive potentially. There is a connection between the people up on the surface and the people down here. And it feels like we're at the point where something grand is gonna happen at some point in time. Be that within weeks or months, be that within years of this narrative, but it's something big that is happening. And once again, the abyss is towering over 𝐿𝐸. Maybe not in a threatening way, but definitely in a weighty kind of sense. Too bright to look into. Too tall, too long to look up into. What is going on the surface? What is going on in general? 𝐿𝐸 is somewhat at a loss at the moment, right? Who am I? Who am I gonna be? We go back to Rico. We have really cool designs of the little places, the doodads and whatnot. I still like this color grading of the entire village. It makes it feel very surreal. Very not of this world. And like I said before, like the design on the shady creatures here is definitely very, very well made with the contrast of the bright light outside, right? It's almost blinding you. And you have the gleam in the eyes of everybody here, being very sinister. Very longing, very full of their own desires, seemingly. And disgusting. And looming over her. I mean, I appreciate at least that they went for the limbs and not for some even more weird stuff. But this is definitely some creepy directions that we're taking this into. Recontextualizing a character we had before. We had that... once again, memories of Leader, memories of 𝐿𝐸, still playing a role here, and that's what I like. That's really cool. We have such varied designs here, but a lot of them seem very insectoid or like whatchamacallem, like plush toys, you know. Very interesting. And in a way, possibly something that displays. Maybe I'm understanding this wrong. I'm still not clear on the distinction, but I feel like their forms kind of display their mentality, right? Their inner image in a way, in some way, shape, or form, or their dreams and longings that they had when they were transformed, their deepest wishes, which I don't know what. How is it called again? Vasukyan. I don't know why Vasukyan is so, right? All of these legs. I mean, he was eating insects, so yeah. This looks like kind of like a not a monocle, but more one of these things that is kind of a double thing with that you see on like scientists sometimes or explorers. Not sure what to make of the red, but it's a hypnotic design, right? It's a very hypnotic design. He doesn't talk, but he can speak the language. Still sane, it seems. You have the serpent. The serpent could be a very, very symbolized thing, right? Serpent, fruit of knowledge, right? Belaf, that makes sense, kind of. I can see that. Very looming again. The contrast of the light and shadow is very good in this episode. They use CG, but the CG is bearable. Doesn't look good in some shots, looks great in others. It doesn't distract me from the main thing, so that is the most important thing. I might have preferred them to not use CG, but they seem to use CG a lot for like the robotic elements or the automaton kind of things. Although not automaton, I mean the kind of whatchamacallit, like puppet marionette kind of things. Although I feel like they don't use it for reg, so I wonder if that contrast is to humanize him, or if there's another reason for that. But definitely an encounter that is very emotional. Once again, the zoom in on the face, the tears are coming, and then we have the serpent, or dragon surrounding us, and seemingly MIDI in a little pot. Can she talk? I'm wondering. But yeah, very cool episode, last episode. I would say we're just gonna make our way into the next episode and see what's going on, if we get some answers or if we get even more confused. I think I'm gonna take a break after that, and I'm gonna study a little bit more then. But yeah. Like, subscribe, check out the Discord, check out the Patreon as usual, and let's jump into it. We're gonna start episode 5 of season 2 of Made in Abyss in a 3, a 2, a 1. And we're back with Belaf. Alright. And Mitty. So they actually Mitty. Ooh, these eyes. Oh, the village tempts you with what you're searching for. That's why Mitty is here. Maybe she's not actually here. So is the village a trap? Or is it just a place where you go to find peace? Very interesting. If this sounds shitty, I'm gonna just cut it out. I do need to find a version of this that has the Romanji lyrics. So much history in there. Brushka. And even Bondrud in the intro. La 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 la. Concealment. Who or what is concealed and how? Oh, these plants look fucking amazing. What the? Okay. I mean, they look amazing. Creatures. Follow the creatures. Okay. Why is it chasing you though? It doesn't seem to want to eat you. Did you hurt it in the past? Oof. That is not good. Ugh. Sir, I need you to stop puking on me. And Automaton Boy saved him. Nice. Good job, man. Can you talk? Ooh, okay. Your presence creates chaos. Big boy. Ooh. Oh, that was the thing that she created. Yeah, have a seat, dude. Shoro layer, okay. Indeed he has to. Okay. Interference unit. Oh, holy shit, you're speaking a different language. Gather knowledge. Oh, so they were in each layer before. They do not cross layers. He is curious too. And that is our view of the village from up above. He's still so weird. So they created the village. Wait. He's I like him. Again, this came up in Jujutsu Kaisen. What does the sun smell like? Ooh, Riko's gonna learn. $50%. How often it's used for that, probably. I'm not sure if it's like Chinese characters, but it feels like it. Not exactly, right? Because Chinese is...
人の子は手に入れたくてしょうがなくなっちまうわな。
二人が行きそうなとこ、どこか心当たりありませんか？
ん？ああ、そうさな。この村の端っこにさ、誰も入らない領域があるんよ。生贄の穴のさらに奥、目の奥、道具部って呼ばれてる場所でな。
Within the eye.
本能的に参っちまってさ、奥まで進むことができねえんよ。あのものじゃない君の友達なら調べに行ってもおかしくないかもな。
Oh, she's making an assumption.
村の秘密が眠ってるって話さ。
And now Rico is going on her own. But why is Ma coming with her?
村と同じで力場がないんだ。
No force fields. So what is she gonna discover? Is she gonna find...
とりあえず壁伝いに。何どうしたの？
I thought so.
生産の時の。
Yeah, Ma is definitely afraid. I wonder if something bad's gonna happen to Ma. Ooh, there she is. She's not. Oh, so she might be a hollow. Oh, yes. She's still the same person. Vuerueruko.
今はこの子たちに名前つけたり歌歌ったり暇だからね。カティちゃん知らない？
Has no knowledge about it.
だってこんなネバネバしたとこに。私リコです。レグとナナチを探してるんです。
Why was she so taken aback?
ラホチュソスジンシーツフワフ。いや、そうじゃなく友達なのかな。全然見つからなくてここにいるかなって。ああ、さっきのあれかな。ねえジェシー、信号来たから一人は知ってるかも。
Ooh, okay.
案内してあげたいけど、ほらこれ自分で取れなくてさ、気持ちで触ってくれるだけでいいんだ。あなたひょっとして悪い人なんですか？え？立ちが良くないんだ。それこそ呪われてるって言っていい。自分はそれに一枚噛んでる。
Alright.
何もかも麻痺してさ、自分たちが地獄を作り出す側になってた。
Oh, there's a lot of guilt in there.
村作るのだけは嫌だって反対して、挙句暗がりに封じられて。でもさ、
But by who or what?
信号を通してずっと見てきてさ、成り立ちはおぞましいけど、
Oh, so she's the balancer.
結構悪くないとこになってるんだ。
She is the balancer.
いびつに果てた子たちが人の体を失ってもなお心だけを残して、それでも営み続けてる。自分は悪いやつだよ。欲にくらんで人以上のものになりたくて。
And Rico does it without hesitation. She just goes.
実は悪い人でも関係遅くなってからじゃ遅いから。 君は
Ooh, she's big. I mean, obviously she grew up, right?
大丈夫？ごめんね。私が一緒に来てって言っちゃったから。その子は君に選ばれたんだね。
Chosen.
すごいね。村の子にとってここは抗いがたい苦痛のはずなのに、時に憧れは本能も制する。だよねリコ。
Ooh. And is she gonna... Oh, and she explores the village. Alright, they're gonna sneak. She looks very, very notorious. Luring. Drops term. Refuses to elaborate. Oh, is it with Belaf? Why can't you go in? Friends in conflict. Belaf was such a nice guy, so what changed? What happened between them? Ooh. And here we are. Nanachi might be here. Oh, okay.
ブローソー、こんにちは。私ベラフ。お前は何をしてきた？
私、ナナチを探しに来て、ね、ナナチ。
そのふわふわ、自分自身売りさばいた。
Soul self.
私から買うため自分手放した。
Ooh. Rico ain't gonna like that.
言えないけど、ふわふわナナチずっとここにいる。二つともずっとここにある。幸せ。
ミーティがそんなに大事って知らなくて、ナナチにここを教えたよ。ならナナチが白を見る目になって。ミーティはいくら吸ってもなくならないベラフの一番のお気に入り。
Ooh.
これ以上ミーティを傷つけないでくれ。
But how is Midi here even?
自分売ってしまった。無理して寝かされてる。
その目、あの時一緒にいてくれた。
Rico recognizes her.
覚えてるよ。ありがとね、ミーティ。大事な人で、私の恩人なんです。ナナチとミーティ、どうしたら返してくれますか？
仮面の男連れてきた。黎明教魔の
Sovereign of the Dawn.
何度目かの訪問の時、ミーティ言いた。本物の不死だ。
But how and why and what?
媒介して強力に結晶化した呪い。ある意味での奈落の化身。どうしても欲しかった。だが、あらゆる対価もってしても譲ってもらえなかった。
And what did he want for it?
対価を払い、イルブルに産んでもらった。
Born.
724本の手足すべて、体長の5割、感覚器の一部、それらを永久に還元し、対価とした。
He paid with his own.
その時点の完全な複製。それを手にするため、ナナチは自らのすべてを対価にした。
Oh, but it's just a copy.
差し出す。
私に何が出せるか、まだわからなくて。
君の全身であれば、今すぐ。
But that's not what she wants.
人の子供そのままって、ここじゃとんでもない価値なんですよ。さすがにそれは欲張りです。たっぷり育てた髪の毛と、左手の爪5つ、今身につけてる装備全部ってどうですか？
確かに欲張りすぎた。それじゃ足りない。 さらに3つから選んでほしい。両目か、両足か、象の半分か。死なないよう万全を尽くす。人の子よ。選んでほしい。
What a choice. Oh. What is a person worth to you, right? What is this journey gonna end like? How much is she gonna give until she arrives where she wants to arrive? I mean, that's all hypothetical if she does it. But Rico already started a cascade, right? She already started a large cascade by freeing Vuerueruko from her prison. Even more questions. A reproduction show, is it actually meaty? Even if you reproduce the soul, is the actual soul somewhere? I mean, maybe to 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐸 it would still be the same worth, right? The luring, we talked about this. Okay. It's just one after the other. Okay, we're gonna make a cut. As always, you know the deal. I hope I'll see you back on YouTube. Alright, people, let's dive into this. It's gonna be a wild little ride, as always. We start out this episode in a very dark place. What did you come here in desire of? That is a closed cradle and in eternal peace their journey will end. But is it true peace, right? We asked that question at the end. Is it true peace? Because that's a copy. That's not the real thing. I mean, you replicated the real thing, but the real thing exists parallel to that, right? At least if I understood it right. And why do we always show? Why do we always show Vuerueruko when we talk about that, right? And that's that empty gaze. That dark, empty gaze that exists without anything. It's so weird. So what's up with her white hair? Is that just like a quirky design? Because the hair around the white hair is actually red again, so I do wonder what that is about. I mean, it's a really cool looking design, but still. 𝐸𝐸𝐹, what happened to you? Why? Why did you split ways like this? You looked like such a nice fellow. And desire overcame you, I guess. Yeah. And we have these very interesting, like, petrified plants, right? They look really cool, like wings, right? Like greenish wings that are coming out here. Rex kind of lost in the place, being followed by this predator. And Mr. Robot here, I don't think we have the name for the robot. He saves him. Your presence creates chaos. Does he mean that in a general way, right? You go in there and you, because you don't know your way around, you create chaos in the environment in between like the normal inhabitants of this? Or is it actual his presence creates chaos? Or does he mean in the village? because that's already the case, right? And we do have that view of the village from high up, which looks really, really amazing. With all the creatures flying around it. And it's so weird that this village is contained within that almost human-made looking pillar, or I mean, it looks like a tree trunk or like a pillar, but it contains an entire village on the inside. It almost feels like the entire thing that's on the inside is happening in the mind in some case, right? In some shape or form. But yeah, we talk a little bit, and we get to know the robot, who seemingly is from a similar class of robots or a similar making as Reg. And that was kind of body here that we found in episode 2, I think, or episode 3. I think it was episode 2, where we do have that body hair from Fapta mixed. Body hair from Fapta and the one to be protected, alright, Beast of Omen, because she seems to kind of keep away other creatures. But what we learn here is that Reg is supposedly one of those, one of those 𝐸𝐲𝐿, right? Oh no, 𝐸𝐸𝐿 is the layer, reaching the 𝐸𝐸𝐿 layer. So this is the layer that is called the 𝐸𝐸𝐿 layer, which is very interesting. And he doesn't know about Reg because he is of a similar making but different, right? Interference units. What do they interfere with? Do they interfere with the ecosystems of the layer? Are they there to control the experiment of your kinds, or a different kind of interference units? And then we have to ask, why are they here and who made them, right? And he's like, I am one. They were placed in each layer, but transmissions from the others ceased long ago. What? Okay. So there is units like Reg. They were supposedly in every layer. Yeah, taken, malfunction possibly, but they do not cross layers. They're here for a specific place. So what layer did Reg originally come from? And yeah, wonder if we really share the same creator. And the robot doesn't know what its creator is, but it says it's very curious and would like to know, since Reg is very free to move between layers. If he finds that out, it would be of interest to him as well. 𝐸𝐿, the village. And we talk to our leader, Vasukian. Vasukian? Is it Vasukian? I don't know. And he is as eccentric as he was before. And they created this village, at least Vasukian and Belaf. And somehow Vuerueruko was against it. Which, right? Why was that a problem, right? Why is this village evil or bad in some way? Yeah, and we talk a little bit to the shopkeep, who is teaching us the language. Looks kind of a little bit like, seems a little bit like Chinese characters, where different concepts can, or Japanese kanji, where different concepts can be described by the same thing, and if you combine them, they can form new meanings and sentences. Maybe not exactly like Japanese, because in Japanese we have the hiragana and the katakana. But yeah, Riko is very sharp. She picks up on this stuff very, very quickly. And she learns it very quickly, apparently, because she's already starting to kind of learn and form sentences. And she's nice. I mean, she says, well, I would really like to get my hands on a human child. Which, again, like, everybody seems to think that. Probably, first of all, human, right? Not altered. Second of all, child. Very innocent, very impressionable, maybe also, right? Very shapeable. And she tells her about Dogupu, within the eye. The eye, as in the eye of balancing, maybe. And the villagers who have been altered instinctually don't want to go there. They have instincts that repel them, which is by design apparently. So the question is, how and why did the leaders, the sages, how and why did they design the village? What was the purpose, and what about the purpose was 𝐏𝐢𝐏 against? She seems to be in a big slumber here, and Riko kind of awakens her to a degree. Finds out she's not a hollow, right? She's not, she's more or less a human in the 6 layers, and she confirms it later very hesitantly. But we see she still has the exact same personality that she had when we met her in episode 1 for the first time. She said, "My name is Riko," and she reacts like, so I'm very curious. Did she just react like this because Riko is so enthusiastic, right, about spouting it out, or does the name Riko spark something in her? Because that seems like a reaction to the specific information that her name is Riko. And she says, "I'm looking for Reg and Nanachi." She says, maybe I've received a signal earlier, and maybe that was right. That was Nanachi giving herself for Midi. But she can't escape. It's kind of a prison. But she serves a purpose, right? A balancer. The question is that a wanted thing by the other 2 sages? Belaf and Co, do they want 𝐏𝐢𝐏 to be the balancer here? Or was that more of a side effect? Like 𝐏𝐢𝐏 was like, I'm against this village, and then she got kind of trapped in here for some reason and in some way or another, and she was like, okay, but at least I can influence these things to play the balancer because I can receive these signals. So she attached herself to it. And it's interesting because she describes it like I kind of like alluded to in some of our discussions, hell, right? Its origins aren't very nice. And I myself have something to do with that. And we do see potentially Fapta being born, right? In hell we got so numb to everything. So numb to the pain, so numb to the emotions maybe. I mean, that's a beautiful shot, right? It's like a bird hatching or something. And we ended up being creators of hell ourselves. To wonder, we see these flashes if for 𝐏𝐢𝐏 that what became of Fapta is hell, or what became of the village is hell, or all of this, or none of those. And then even though I was too late to do anything about that, I wanted to oppose it, right? I still insisted at least opposing the creation of this village. With the help of these things, or yeah. As a result, I sealed away in this darkness. But you know, through the signals I've watched over the village this whole time. So she got sealed away, she got locked up here, but her combining herself with this weird balancing thing. Probably of her own volition, because she wants to make this place a nice place. Have people carry on despite their loss of humanity. And she seems kind of really forgetful, right? What was I talking about again? Came to this terrible place and then even worse. And she wants to go on and kind of wallow in this depressive state, the self-deprecating state. And Riko is like, nah, I'm not gonna let you. She doesn't hesitate. You just, boom, freeze her. And she's like, come on. I can't wait. And she's surprised by that, of course. I don't care if you're a bad person. Although I think at this case, Riko actually already feels that she's not a bad person. Could you please take me to them? Once it's too late. That's it. You don't get any do-overs. And Riko is a girl of action. Which is very interesting. And we see the height difference, right? It looks almost even more than just adult to child. But I'm just gonna assume it's adult to child. I mean, she could also be non-human and retain a human form. That's possible too. So we can talk about that if that becomes clear. Chosen by you. And we talk about longing again, right? Longing gets the better of our instinct sometimes. Greed gets the better of our judgment, as in Belaf's case maybe. And many other cases. Talked about it last time. And she's afraid of going up there. She's like, nah, I can't get up there, I'm too weak. But yeah, she sees the village and she's excited about that. She has the most notorious disguise I've ever seen, so this is not gonna last long. But yeah, she can't go in there for whatever reason. Belaf would imprison her again, so that is a thing that needs to be resolved at some point. And we have 𝐸𝐸. And he's obviously very interested because she's a human child. And he looks like a ribcage, right? Like a bone dragon. Like a bone snake or something. All white and shiny and almost like plated steel. Beautiful design. And we find out 𝐸𝐸 gave herself for Midi. Both are here forever, forever happy. And this looks so creepy. Right? This face with the mask and like an organic mass, the eyes, right? And we see it bursting from the eyes, right? And he's gorging himself on Midi. And Midi doesn't die from it, but 𝐸𝐸 can't bear to see it. It's very interesting how Belaf described these eyes. He had beautiful blue eyes. Now they're black like the abyss. Like he talked when he talked to Vuerueruko, where he was like, "Your eyes, they have a darkness in them. Follow it." And now his eyes have a darkness in them too. And the way he describes it here, the masked man brought her with him. Sovereign of the Dawn. One of many visits. So he visited here. So how did he get down there? Because seemingly he couldn't activate it through his own reverberating stone. Did he just go there with other people? I can't fathom that, right? Because he can't activate the mechanism without a whistle, and he himself said he can't activate the whistle anymore because he's not considered alive. So I do wonder how he did it, or if he was but he couldn't have been down there before the whistle, and he has the whistle on his neck, I think. So I'm morbidly curious about how he got down there. I knew by scent. A real immortal. With the signal of love as an intermediary. A strongly crystallized curse. Yeah, we saw that with 𝐸𝐸. But he didn't give her to him. So what did he do? I paid compensation and had her born by 𝐸𝐸𝐸, by the village, right? 𝐸𝐸𝐸 is the village, I think. All of my 724 limbs. So he had limbs. He wasn't a limbless dragon. He had limbs, like an insect, like a, I don't know what you call them in English, right? 50% of my body's length, a portion of my sensory organs. He gave so much for it, right? He was like, I need it. A perfect reproduction of Midi at that moment. Even the soul was copied. So it's a copy. So Midi, her actual soul, is somewhere out there. But obviously for 𝐸𝐸 that doesn't matter. It's subjective, right? It's her truth, and her truth is there's a thing that looks like Midi, that has a soul that is exactly a copy of Midi. It's a second Midi. And it suffers, and I don't want that. And that's what she offered herself for. And he wants the whole body, and Rico haggles it down, but he still wants the organs or the limbs. Which, again, I don't know what they want with the organs or the limbs. Doesn't the human child, lose its value once it's not part of the child anymore, right? Or is there something other about that, or something different about that makes it special? Because for me it was the individual is special, and that's why it's almost beyond any other word. But if you haggle it down, don't you lose the substance, right? Because the sum is more than the whole is more than the sum of its parts. And then we ask, what is Riko willing to give, right? Once again, I mean, she already gave part of her hand here. Her hand function, right? Gave a lot to the curse, but what is she willing to give even beyond that? Or does she find a clever way to haggle Nanachi back, because she's not going to go on without Nanachi? We do know how Riko is and who Riko is. All of these weird concepts and existential questions. And we know what what's it called? The luring, some kind of ritual, some kind of thing that's going to happen next time. So we have a lot of things happening next time. Rek's going to come back. Riko's going to have to make her decision either with Reg or alone. Or she's going to have to find a clever solution. Ueko is now in the village. What is she going to do with her, right? Fapta is still out there. And she's still not done with Reg, we know that. A lot of things in motion right now, and a lot of things happening, both on a gruesome level, but also on a wildly fascinating level. We ask all of these existential questions, right? What is the value of a human life? What are you willing to give for the things you desire? But yeah, that's pretty much it for me for this episode. The discussions aren't that long, but I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. I'm gonna take it as we go a lot. Like I said, a lot of things are in motion right now, so we don't know how they end up. We have a lot of interesting intrigue and theory going on. What could be the origin of this and that and whatnot. But we don't have the solutions yet, of course. And sometimes, maybe in some cases, we won't even have the solution at the end of season 2. We have to wait for the next manga chapters or season 3 to come up. But it's definitely a very, very fascinating series, as I do always say, because it is. Alright, everyone. This is it for me. I do hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, give me a like, subscribe to the channel. I do have a Discord. I like talking to you people on that. You're already probably gonna get information a little bit quicker if you're on there. Most of the time I'm trying to do some information sharing on like the YouTube community page. You can look up there if you're wondering about anything. But yeah, that's about it. Check out the Patreon if there's something on that you like. Early access on Made in Abyss, early access on 𝐸𝐸 𝐾𝐲 when I actually record it. Generally, I'm trying to have like a difference from like the first episode I release in a month to the first episode I release in the next month of like 3 to 4 weeks, right? And then generally I release 2 episodes. This month it was 3 episodes because of like the way the episodes were going, right? One of them was a double episode, so I did it like that. Yeah, that's on there as well. We'll see what will be coming beyond that. MIA analysis, maybe a Frieren opinion piece or 2, and yeah, a movie. Subscribe a special movie that I've been waiting on because there weren't that many votes yet, so I was like, okay, let's just take it easy and see where the votes gather, and at some point I'm just gonna cut it off and be like, okay, voting ended. But as long as I don't have the time to record it anyway, I can just let it run and see what people are thinking. I hope I see you on the next video, and a big thank you to all of my patrons, the scholar patrons and whatnot. And I know it's been a little bit shaky in January, but I've been communicating that, and I do hope you don't mind that. You can always re-pledge and resubscribe once the train gets rolling again. And until then, see you on the next video.